Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss Sinister 2. Came out in 2015. James Ranson is back as ex-deputy so-and-so, who's now a private investigator compared to when he was an actual deputy, working to help Ethan Hawke's character in the first film. So now we are kind of following his tale of burning down previous houses of previous murder victim within that line of, following Bagul. So that way Bagul can never harm the next family with children ever again. So he goes to this one particular farmhouse where there was another, murder, as he's following trails, but there's a family that lives there. So he has to work with the family, figure out what happened at the church that is in the backyard of their house, and that's where the murders happened. But in the process, there's two twins that Zach and Dylan, who are now trying to be recruited by these ghost children. So it's very different than the first one, because the first one, it was just like behind the scenes, the ghoul was convincing the kids to kill the families, but now this showed the actual remaining children of the previous family murders, convincing Dylan to watch the movies, to understand how to make a film to please the ghoul for artistic expression through violence. But then in turn, it was really Zach, the other twin, that they were trying to convince by using Dylan. So it was very interesting. But while this is going on, there's a whole custody issue with the kids versus the abusive cop father, who tries to literally kidnap them with different officers. And then ex-deputy so-and-so happens to be there at the time and, throws the legal jargon around. And then a sheriff comes back with a warrant. But again, there's no legality to it, because this is just a very abusive father who demands his sons. And then he gets, burned at the stake after, of course, causing more problems and more abuse when the kids and the wife are then taken back to that house, to the original house. And that's where the new murders are set. So before the rest of the family can get burned at the stake in the cornfield, ex-deputy so-and-so rams his car into Zach with his sickle. Zach fights back with his sickle, cuts off 3 fingers. That was a very gruesome scene. But in the process, Mom and Dylan are trying to evade as well. And then there's a whole poltergeist event with the other ghoul kids going around the house, throwing things, trying to make sure that Zach actually kills the rest of the family while making the movie. But ex-deputy so-and-so breaks the Super 8 camera. But in the process of this, there's more information brought about ham radios, that it doesn't have to be just movies, it doesn't have to be just drawings, it doesn't have to be just pictures, it could be audio as well. So they were talking about, him and this new professor were talking about ham radio stuff from Norway, coordinates of a family farm of the, a family that was brutally murdered because of ghoul. So it's a matter of if the camera was broken, right? But we know from Ethan Hawke breaking all the camera and stuff and burning everything that it can come back, obviously. And then now that there's the ham radio in the motel room of ex-deputy so-and-so after he comes back to get his stuff, and the ghoul obviously pops back up as the jump scare at the end, what's going to happen next? So in Sinister, right, the crossover of Insidious and Sinister, will we get an Elaine versus ghoul moment? Is the ghoul a demon? Is the ghoul just an actual pagan deity that's been doing this stuff for a long time? I'd like to get into that whole mythos of his origins, because we get to a lot of origin stuff within Insidious. So I'm curious if in Sinister, the crossover movie, which whenever that happens, if ghoul will have a fight off against Elaine in the Further. That'd be cool. And the other question then is the Further the same thing as ghoul going to his own realm, or is ghoul's realm a totally different thing compared to the Further? So I have some questions, but we have some time until we get some answers. I don't even think Sinister is in production. I think Insidious 5 is currently being written. Patrick Wilson's going to be directing it, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. On to the next film. Mucho mahalo.